Okay. Good morning and welcome to the 20th Annual Regional Seminar on the Implementation of International Humanitarian Law. We are so pleased to welcome you to the seminar, and we thank you for making the time to participate in what we believe will be fruitful and rich and interesting discussions. My name is Sarah Mabeza, and I am the Regional Legal Advisor at the Pretoria Delegation of the International Committee of the Red Cross. This is actually my 11th seminar that I've helped to organize and participate in, but it is the first one that I am attending online. I do hope that we are able to engage actively and benefit from peer-to-peer discussions despite the online nature of the seminar this year. I'm really looking forward to the discussions this week. We are welcoming government representatives from the following countries in the Southern African region this year: Angola, Botswana, Lesotho, Mauritius, Mozambique, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. And I believe that some colleagues from other countries in the region will be joining as the seminar goes on. Given that the seminar is online this year, I would like to run through a few housekeeping guidelines regarding your online participation before we begin with the opening session. Firstly, please ensure that your microphone is on mute when you are not talking. The hosts may mute you if you are not on mute. And please don't take offense if we do so. Please also, as far as possible, put on your cameras when you're making an intervention. It really does help to make the seminar more enjoyable, both when you are a speaker and also just when making a comment or a question in the discussion time. Secondly, you will see that the program includes a number of stretch breaks. These are an opportunity for you to get a cup of tea or coffee, to stretch your legs. We know that sitting in front of the computer for hours at a time can be quite exhausting. So please do ensure, though, that you are back in the session at the agreed time. Thirdly, all governments will be presenting country reports in tomorrow's session. If you intend to use a PowerPoint presentation for your country report, kindly share it with the ICRC by the end of today, so that we can load and operate it for you during the session tomorrow. We will take some time before the end of today to briefly discuss the country reporting session and make sure that everyone is ready. Fourthly, as I already mentioned, we would love for the seminar to be as interactive as possible. This regional seminar has a tradition of being engaging and interesting when we meet face-to-face. And we really hope that that will carry on in the online meeting this year. The chairs for each session will lead the discussions, but please do feel free throughout the seminar to engage. You can do so by raising your hand and by writing in the chat box, or just simply unmuting and sharing your thoughts. We have attempted to make the program as interactive as possible. We've added some polls and surveys. You'll be doing your first poll very shortly. Some videos throughout the week, and also some breakaway working group sessions. We will also be taking a group photo on the final day of the seminar. Fifthly, in terms of interpretation, we are very pleased to announce that for the first time ever, simultaneous interpretation is provided for the duration of the seminar in both French and Portuguese. For those of you requiring interpretation, you will find an icon of the globe at the bottom of your screen. Written next to this icon is the word interpretation. So simply click on that icon and you can select your language. If you do select interpretation, please remember to mute the original audio so you don't hear both at the same time. I would just like to say at this point that tomorrow we will be having a presentation from the government of Niger, which will be in French. So everybody, all English speakers, will need to make use of this interpretation facility at that time. And then finally, in terms of documentation, we will share with each of you at the end of the seminar a link to a set of documents. This will include the country reports provided tomorrow, copies of all the presentations delivered, and other useful reading related to the topics discussed in the seminar. We will also send each of you a PDF version of a certificate of participation. So that is it in terms of background and in terms of housekeeping guidelines. I just wanted to thank you again so much for being with us and to welcome you. It's now time for the formal opening session of the seminar. And I'm very pleased to hand over to our co-hosts, to DIRCO. I will be handing over to the chair of the opening session, Ambassador Malloy. Ambassador Malloy is Chief Director of Human Rights and Humanitarian Affairs at the Department of International Relations and Cooperation of the Government of South Africa. He is a friend of the ICRC, and he is a champion for international humanitarian law. Ambassador Malloy, over to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mamadou, for your very kind introduction and for taking us through the housekeeping rules. Thank you very much indeed, and good morning to you all, my dear colleagues and dear friends. Peace be unto you all. I have been honored by all of you, and you have bestowed on me the responsibility to be your chair and to facilitate this morning's session. Let me first of all take this opportunity to welcome you all and thank you for attending this seminar, which will run for the next 4 days. We are meeting here today on this virtual platform to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Regional Seminar on International Humanitarian Law, with the main objective of reflecting on achievements and challenges in the region. And I think we come from far. 20 years is a pretty long road. This seminar, as we are all aware, is jointly organized by the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, the Government of the Republic of South Africa, and the ICRC, with the full participation and cooperation of our colleagues from sister countries in the region, our region of Southern Africa and Indian Ocean island states, and also with the full cooperation and participation of our colleagues from other sister countries on our continent. As Mamadou already mentioned, we'll receive a presentation tomorrow from Niger. We also welcome our colleagues from Geneva and from the African Union Commission who have joined us this morning or who will be joining us later during the course of this week. My dear colleagues, Mamadou has taken us through some housekeeping matters. It is now my responsibility to get this show on the road, your show on the road. For this opening session, we have two outstanding speakers who will set the scene for us and chart the way for the rest of our deliberations this week. And let me recognize and welcome in a very special way His Excellency Alvin Botes, the Deputy Minister in the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, Government of South Africa, and my dear friend and brother Mamadou, who is the head of the regional delegation, the ICRC, and based here in Pretoria. I shall be inviting Deputy Minister Botes and Mamadou in that order, and in a few minutes to deliver their opening remarks. But before that, let me say the following. We are very happy to have Deputy Minister Botes with us. Your Excellency, you have been the pillar of strength for this seminar in the past years, and you have provided sterling guidance and leadership for us in the past, and we look forward to your continued support and leadership. Deputy Minister Botes may fool you by his youthful looks. He is a veteran of the anti-apartheid struggle, a long-standing member of the African National Congress, and has been an outstanding public servant, having served the government and the people of South Africa in many capacities and in many heads, in the National Assembly, as a provincial minister in a provincial government, and now in the national government as the Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, responsible largely for South Africa's multilateral affairs. And that is why he is here with us this morning. Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Botes, and thank you very much indeed for joining us. It is now my pleasure to invite His Excellency Deputy Minister Botes to deliver his opening address. Deputy Minister, you have the floor, sir.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Chairperson Ambassador Francis Molloy. I wish to acknowledge the head of the regional delegation, ICRC, in Pretoria, Mr. Mamadou, representatives of countries from the region, colleagues from the African Union Commission, members of various national IHL committees, ICRC delegates, and fellow colleagues. I'm delighted to be with you this morning, albeit virtually. From the outset, let me allow me to welcome you to this landmark event, celebrating 20 years of the annual regional summit on the implementation of international humanitarian law for Southern Africa and the Indian Ocean's island states. From the thematic approach of our seminar, we would have an opportunity in the next few days to both celebrate and reflect on our achievements and the challenges we still face in our region. Let me therefore thank all the representatives from the countries in the region and beyond who have consistently contributed towards making this seminar successful when it was hosted annually. Similarly, let me thank the ICRC for their continued commitment to partner with DIRCO in hosting this seminar in these years. This seminar, ladies and gentlemen, has become an institution of the region over the past 20 years, demonstrating and pivoting our commitment to strengthening compliance with international humanitarian law. We have therefore pledged to identify domestic, regional, and continental approaches that would be utilized to realize the full implementation and domestication of IHL commitments, including the implementation of relevant ICRC resolutions and outcomes. South Africa's foreign policy is rooted in the aspirations for an African continent that is prosperous, peaceful, democratic, non-racial, non-sexist, and united in a more just and equitable world. It is therefore our aspirations to contribute positively and meaningfully to the AU to achieve its objectives as set out in Agenda 2063, which amplify inclusive prosperity for all Africans. Since the dawn of democracy in 1994, South Africa not only contributes to, but also persistently advocates for political and security stability across the continent and the world. We have, through numerous peace building, peacemaking, and post-conflict reconstruction and development efforts, as well as humanitarian diplomacy, demonstrated our commitment to this aspiration for an African continent that is stable and politically at peace. This seminar, ladies and gentlemen, takes place against the backdrop of many developments in the region, including the recent SADC Extraordinary Organ Troika Summit, where key decisions were made in relation to ensuring stability within the region, all of which have implications for the application, respect, and strengthening of compliance of international humanitarian law. Guided by this collective commitment made by our governments over the years towards effective implementation and compliance with IHL in the region, delegates will in the coming day at this particular seminar participate in a number of key discussions on how to recalibrate the work on IHL to the next phase, which will also reflect on the achievements and challenges encountered over the last 2 decades. Ladies and gentlemen, history has taught us various lessons about the continued negative effects of armed conflicts and wars. Unfortunately, this has not changed even as the nature of warfare has evolved. Human suffering is always the consequence, irrespective of the form and method of warfare. This said, placing IHL on the national agenda of member states in the region in peace times is crucial, as it has been witnessed time and time again that in the event of conflict, all other institutions fostering democracy tend to be suspended. However, if the functions of these institutions have been strengthened in peace times, this goes a long way towards averting crises and in turn preserve humanity. As our country's contribution towards enhancing the implementation of IHL, South Africa has for years been advocating for regional forums to become a regular feature in the work of the ICRC. It was indeed an achievement that this call was taken on board through the intergovernmental process of the 32nd International Conference of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent movement in 2015. As proposed and negotiated by South Africa, IHL Regional Forums were included in Resolution 2 of the 32nd International Conference as a potential forum for states to find ways to enhance the implementation of the IHL. This proposal, ladies and gentlemen, was premised on lessons learned from the hosting of this particular annual regional summit on IHL for Southern Africa and Indian Ocean island states. So we must be proud of this particular achievement. 20 years since the inception of this regional seminar, and 8 years since we as South Africa domesticated the Geneva Conventions through the promulgation of the implementation of the Geneva Conventions Act of 2012, the South African government continues to be committed to ensuring that IHL is being popularized and disseminated to society, starting at institutional levels. The partnership with the ICRC regional delegation has made realizing this objective possible. This partnership, ladies and gentlemen, includes the training on IHL for various ministries in our countries and in our ambassadors designates training and orientation program. Chairperson, allow me to briefly touch on the importance of IHL, the Geneva Conventions of 1949, and the additional protocols of 1977. It may be recalled that unlike other treaties, the Geneva Conventions of 1949 and the additional protocols of 1977 do not have treaty reporting mechanism, neither meetings nor conference of states parties. Notwithstanding this fact, ladies and gentlemen, this universal body of law is neither rendered any less valuable nor less relevant in protecting humanity. In fact, as the custodian of IHL, this body of law plays a key role in promoting and upholding multilateralism in the face of global challenges, both then and now. IHL is as relevant, therefore, as it was at the time of its conception. Our governments, as responsible members of the global community, must therefore honor our obligations to respect IHL and to find creative and innovative methods and means to strengthen compliance with this. This regional forum is one of the key platforms that ensures that we achieve this through our annual gatherings, where we reflect and review, of course, on a voluntary basis, measures, programs, and efforts that have been put in place at the national level aimed at strengthening the implementation of IHL. In this 20th year, this is an opportune moment to not only conduct such a review, but also chart a way forward to improve and enhance existing measures. I am therefore looking forward to receiving the outcomes of your deliberations over the next 4 days. Ladies and gentlemen, this regional seminar continues to provide a safe platform for participants represented to reflect on progress made by Southern Africa and Indian Ocean Island states with regard to the implementation of IHL as part of the peer-to-peer engagement under a constructive environment of trust and mutual respect, free from selectivity and political rhetoric. This process focuses on honest exchanges of voluntary reports on both the general implementation of states' obligations as well as actual challenges encountered during the implementation of IHL. It is therefore important to note, ladies and gentlemen, that over the past 2 decades, an unparalleled level of trust has been built amongst participating member countries, and the incremental embracement of each other's challenges has assisted in harnessing the political will, which made this a successful and effective process. The trust that has been earned and has been developed has facilitated peer-to-peer exchanges and learning that have resulted in tangible outcomes, including the ratification by member countries of IHL-related treaties that they might perhaps not have pursued had they not learned from the counterparts in the region. I therefore, through acclamation, wish to commend the ICRC and would like to convey our deep and profound appreciation for their continuous cooperation and collaboration. Looking forward towards the future, we should collectively continue our commitment to prioritize IHL implementation and adherence thereto, including through the identification of tangible areas within this seminar to achieve in the short, medium, and long term. The seminar has provided a novel opportunity to produce regional pledges at 2 international conferences. This unique feature of a joint regional pledge has come to set a tone for other regions, ladies and gentlemen, to follow suit. The pledge is not only a symbolic gesture led by South Africa, but also enhances both the member states as well as the region's commitment to strengthening compliance with IHL. Chairperson, before concluding, let me take this opportunity to thank the regional bodies which often participate in this seminar. Further, and in addition, let me thank the countries from outside our region who often participate in the seminar and offer very valuable, insightful inputs, facilitating cross-regional learning. Ladies and gentlemen, Program Director, Ambassador Molloy, in conclusion, let me once again thank you all for your participation and wish you all a fruitful and robust discussions and deliberations as participants engage over the next few days. I am confident that your outcomes will reflect on both the achievements and challenges over the past 2 decades, as well as paving concrete ways forward for the years to come towards strengthening compliance with and adherence to the IHL in our region. We must remain proud of our past and confident about the future. Thank you very much, Ambassador Molloy, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you very much, Deputy Minister, for those kind remarks, for those powerful remarks, in which you underscored, among other important considerations, the need for us to commit ourselves, our governments, and our peoples to the values, the norms, the objectives of the international humanitarian law, and to make IHL part and parcel of our daily lives, our daily lexicon, and daily guide for the greater benefit of our continent and her people. And in that way, set ourselves on a good course to achieve the Africa we want, a continent at peace with itself and the world. And thank you very much indeed, Deputy Minister, for those remarks. Yes, at the end of these deliberations, we will indeed produce the outcomes which will certainly make available to you. Now, my dear brother and friend, Mamadou, he is an institution in his own right, as far as ICRC and its work is concerned. And I dare say an academic of note, a quintessential servant of the people of the world, particularly those who are on the receiving end of conflict and strife. He has been everywhere. He has been everywhere in the four winds of the earth. Gaza, Mali, Afghanistan, Nigeria, Iraq, Rwanda, to mention but a few. You want to see a passionate, dedicated, and a true humanitarian, this is the gentleman who would be addressing us right now. Now it is my singular honor to invite my dear brother and friend, Mamadou, to deliver his opening address. Mamadou, the floor is yours, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my dear brother, Mr. Chairman, Ambassador Malloy. The bar is very high now, so I will try to live up to the expectations. His Excellency, my dear brother, Alvin Botes, Deputy Minister of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa. It is a great honor to share this event with you and to listen to the very inspiring words that you've shared with us that frankly make it that I didn't even have to speak anymore because you've said it all. So really thank you, and on behalf of the ICRC also, please convey our greatest regard and thanks to the government of South Africa for the very continuous support. Excellencies, governments, representative and expert from across Africa, my dear and abiding friend, Dr. Michael Charles, the head of the International Federation of the Red Cross here in Southern Africa, members of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, colleagues, gentlemen, ladies, good morning to all of you. It feels really nice to be able to say welcome to the 20th annual regional seminar on the implementation of international humanitarian law. 20 years is a long time, and we are therefore really grateful to our DIRCO friends and the government of South Africa, which has once again offered its support in co-hosting this event, which is a very important one. I really cannot thank enough the Republic of South Africa. Just a few weeks ago, I also received the contribution of South Africa, and me as a humanitarian and as an African. It's just very, I received that with great pride to see that African governments with South Africa on the forefront continue to humanitarian actions, not just here, but around the world, despite all the challenges that we have on the continent. So thank you very much. I also like to extend my gratitude to all the government representatives who are here. Without your unwavering commitment, this seminar would not be the kind of success that it is for the last 20 years. Excellency, the theme of this year is celebrating and reflecting, and you have already set a beautiful tone on that. So we will celebrate this 20th anniversary, but we will also reflect around what's going on around us in this continent that we call our home. Obviously, I stand before you, Excellency, friends, conscious that last year, 2020, was supposed to be the year of the silencing of the guns on the continent of Africa. This very noble idea to bequeath the next generations of Africans, our children and their children, with a peaceful Africa. It goes without saying that the guns are not silent at all. To the contrary, they reverberate even louder across the continent. So the question that we will ask reflects
Mamadou, my brother, it looks like you went silent there. I do not know what the technical error is, but may I kindly once again ask all the other participants who are on the platform, if you are not on the platform and speaking, kindly switch off your video as well as your microphone, because I did hear voices coming through, and that may probably have interrupted Mamadou's speech. I hope we are now.
Yes. Can you hear me, Excellency? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, wonderful, wonderful. So I will continue. So indeed, the guns are far from being silenced. They are even arguably a bit louder on the continent. And when I take a step back and look at the map of our continent, I think of Mali, I think of the Sahel, I think of all those countries that are affected by the conflict in Mali now that has spread in that region. I wonder how long will that continue? I can ask the same question: how long for Nigeria, for Niger, for Cameroon, for Chad? Excellency, we can ask how long for CAR, we can ask how long for South Sudan, we can ask how long for the DRC. And not only that, new conflicts have started and have reached already complex levels and are causing great deal of suffering from people. Some of them are very close to us, like Mozambique or Ethiopia, which is also a country that is now being bogged down by a devastating armed conflict. Now, the importance of the work that you are gathering here to do is precisely to help bring human dignity at the center of what's happening around us and what's happening in the continent. Obviously, people living in this country that I have mentioned are often talked about. When we turn on the television, we see them being discussed. People are writing about them. We know with incredible level of precision their numbers in the camps, their numbers when they are on the move, the number of their hospitals that are destroyed, clinics that have been devastated. But they are not just numbers. I have, as Ambassador Moloi have said, had the privilege to live and work in many of these countries and meet many of these men, women, and children affected by war today in Africa. And I can tell you that, when we discuss armed conflict, I want you to remember the faces of the people that we are talking about. If you want to imagine what it feels like to have your family, your village attacked, to have your daughters kidnapped or your spouse killed in front of you, if you want to imagine how it must feel like to have to run away from your home for days and days, and that you arrive in the middle of nowhere, extremely hot weather with no water, no healthcare, no food to eat. That's the lived experience of many of the people that are considered as numbers, that are being talked about. And I want you to remember them. I want you to remember that to be a parent in many of these countries that we are concerned about, is to live with fears that are permanent, fears that your families will be taken away from you in a split of a second, fear that you as a parent, you might not be even able to provide to those loved ones with their basic needs. But ladies and gentlemen, the picture, as bleak as it is across the continent, there are rays of hope. There are things that makes us continue to believe in the future, of Africa. One is when I was in Nigeria, in the Lake Chad, I met many people there, and I realized that when we talk about 2.5 million people were displaced in that area of Africa, actually more than 90% of them were welcomed and hosted by communities who were incredibly vulnerable before the crisis. Yet in the face of terrorism, in the face of unbelievable horror, we see over and over again across the continent, men and women raising to the challenge and showing solidarity and sharing everything that they have. For me, that's a great lesson for all of us to learn. Here next door in Mozambique, I visited it quite regularly in the last 2 years. I visited Cabo Delgado, which once was such a quiet place and now has been turned into an inferno. I was quite amazed at how 95% of the people who were displaced in Cabo Delgado following this conflict are also welcome and hosted by communities, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of religion. And that's just powerful and beautiful. We look across the continent, we also see that IHL as a body of law is coming at play to mitigate a lot of devastating conflicts for individuals, for families, for communities in very unique ways. We see recently how military are starting to make incredible efforts to start accounting and tracking civilian casualties and understanding deeply the causes of those casualties and trying to make mitigating measures. We also see progressively in many parts of Africa, military legal advisors have started to be part of those who in the battlefield are admonishing their armies to uphold IHL, to uphold human dignity. And this is wonderful. This is something that we encourage. We have seen increased commitment to clear anti-personnel landmines. We've seen risk education being extended to the vulnerable communities. And we see that mine victims are being assisted quite regularly. And we want to see more of that. We have seen, and the images of Yemen of last year come to mind, tens of thousands of people detained were released under auspices of the ICRC so that they can go back to their families. And we have seen also across the world and across Africa that governments, states, military, and even non-state armed groups are allowing the ICRC to be able to provide family meals to those who are kept in detention. While these are important advances that we salute, we will all agree that they pale in comparison to the pain and suffering of those that we meet around Africa. And this is why your work and my work is just getting started. Our work is not done at all. So I am quite happy that we are here gathering, reflecting, and celebrating the 20th seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really proud of this. When we started this back in 2001, it was then the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and us who launched the event. And we did not anticipate then that 20 years later, this program will still continue. So in the course of this week, we will share with you photos and videos of the past event to celebrate the contributions of those who came before and the contribution of all the things that have been achieved. But we will make sure also that we capture your presence and make sure that that will also stand as a celebration of its own and of your own participation. So we will continue to celebrate and to reflect on IHL from an African perspective, and particularly its applicability right here in our region in Southern Africa. Many of you will, I hope, find useful the fact that we will also discuss how IHL national committees are an important tool of implementation. We will hear in our peer-to-peer closed-door interaction, we will hear from governments such as Mozambique who are on the verge of commencing their involvement in the IHL committee. We will see also and hear from our colleagues here in Southern Africa who are in the process of revamping existing IHL committees, but we will also hear from our friends and colleagues from Mauritius who indeed will tell us about a rather advanced and long-standing IHL committee and the benefit of it all. We will also reflect around the 2 decades of reporting on the implementation of IHL. And this is something that we are all proud of, and it's something that this seminar has really inspired, and we've seen over the last decades, many countries in the region voluntarily reporting on the successes, on the challenges, on the opportunities, on domesticating international humanitarian law. We will also obviously hear some specific themes related to private military and security services. We will hear about IHL and the pandemics and other similar challenges that we see. Well, my remarks come to an end. I would like to thank all of you for the very strong commitment that you have shown us when it comes to IHL and on the IHL seminar. On behalf of the International Committee of the Red Cross and the delegation of Pretoria, very wonderful deliberation, very candid discussions on these extremely important topics. Like His Excellency, my dear friend, I look forward also reading about the outcome of the seminar, and we stand ready to always come to support in any way, shape, or form to make sure that that you have all the support that you need. And I want you to remember the people that I spoke about when you deliberate, and you know that we do this work for them. When I saw some of them, when I meet them on the field, I always wish I would make them see the horror they have seen. I often wish I could make them, I could undo the pain that they themselves and their loved one have suffered, but obviously none of us can undo the sorrow that they have lived. But we can commit to them to make sure that their plight is at the center of all deliberation. We have to do that for them, and we have to do it for ourselves, because at the end of the day, we are all very much interconnected. You know, when you defend someone's human dignity and human right, you are safeguarding your own. Whoever oppresses me directly is stripping you of your humanity indirectly. That's what Dr. King used to say when he said that we are all caught in an inescapable web of mutuality, tied in the single garment of destiny. And I hope that you will put hope at the center of this, because it's hard, it's complicated, it's difficult, but we have hope for Africa. We have hope for this continent. Chinua Achebe used to say that we are not the children of Africa. We are the fathers of the Africa that we want to see. So hope is the conviction in our heart that keeps us moving against the odds. It is what helps us cut against the grain and stand against the storm. It alleviates the suffering of our people across the continent. Hope is what also keeps us sane in a world that is quite insane, and help us also hear the morning stars in often a pitch dark night. So my dear friends, don't give up, don't despair. Let's keep learning, let's keep talking, let's keep moving, and let's make sure that the plight of those who suffer from armed conflict is always at the center. And here in Southern Africa, we will do what we have to do to make sure that IHL is fully domesticated and implemented in our countries. So the floor is yours, Chairman. I thank you, and I wish all of you a wonderful proceedings.
Well, thank you very much, Mamadou, my dear brother, for your kind and inspiring remarks, which are certainly grounded in the true spirit of Pan-Africanism. Thank you very much indeed. And you have pointed out in your remarks, among other important considerations, you have pointed out how long we still need to go to achieve a peaceful Africa. And that has given renewed importance and relevance for our seminar and the work that will emanate from our deliberations. Mm-hmm. You have challenged us and basically based on your experience, your vast experience in working in the field, you have challenged us to give international humanitarian law a human face and to be hopeful. Thank you very much indeed, my dear brother, for those comments indeed. Now, I am looking at my time. It is now 09:52, and in terms of our program here, we're supposed to be having a photo collage of our past participants, and I will invite our colleagues who are dealing with the technical side of that issue. Sarah, are you the technician who will do that for us?
Thank you very much, Ambassador Malloy.
Okay.
Indeed, we will do that.
Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. My colleague Tan will be bringing her screen up now, and we're going to show you a short 2-minute photo collage of all of the group photos from the seminars over the years, all the ones we could get our hands on. I hope you enjoy, and look for some of your colleagues and friends, and maybe even yourself in some of these photos. There we go, colleagues. A little bit of a flashback. I think you can agree that we really do have a rich history to this IHL seminar. You can see that we started in our very humble days with photos in the garden, and we started having the IHL seminar at the Sheraton Hotel in Pretoria. In 2010, you would have seen that we were lucky enough to move the seminar to DIRCO's new building in Pretoria, where the remainder of the seminars have taken place. And for those of you with very beady eyes, you may have spotted that in the very first 2001 seminar, Mr. Llewellyn Landers is in the group photo as a South African participant. And then we see him again in the photos of 2015, 2016, and 2017 as the Deputy Minister of DIRCO. So I think that's a lovely circle as well. Ambassador Malloy, if you agree, I think we've come now to our first stretch break of the seminar.
Yes, Sarah, I think we have come to that. At least we have 4 minutes. But because I'm in a good mood this morning, so I will give the 4 minutes to all of us. So we will stick very closely to the program. And I think the next item on our agenda will be a presentation by Temlin on international humanitarian law from an African perspective, but that will start at 10:15. So, Sarah, if you are in agreement, we can break at this moment and we will start at 10:15 sharp. So for now, as the Speaker of the National Assembly say, ladies and gentlemen, this session is now adjourned. We'll start again at 10:15. Okay. All right.
Recording stopped.